1 minute, sir.
All right. Well, I got here just in time. So let me introduce myself. My name is Matt Rebelski, and I'm running for County Commissioner for District 5. I'm not a politician. I'm a plain and simple man. And I'll just tell you a little bit about me since I've never, been in a political office. I am a God-fearing man. I love Jesus and my family and my country, and it goes in that order. I am a conservative. I am running as a Republican. I think that less government is better, ultimately. I am married, been married to my wife for 28 years, and I have 4 beautiful kids, ranging anywhere from almost 24 to 15. We've lived here in Giles County for 15 years, and this is home. And I'm trying to get my family, I'm trying to get my mom and dad to move out this way. I'm a businessman. I've been a business management leadership for the past 20 plus years, and I love Giles County, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Tommy Pollard.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for being here, and I appreciate it. And I have been commissioner for, finishing up my 4th term. And I tell everybody, anywhere, every day is a holiday if you love your job. I love my job as commissioner. Sometimes not very rewarding, but you lose a few battles, but you haven't lost the war. You keep on. But I love my county, my country. I served in the Marine Corps during Vietnam. I love my country. I love the people here. I love dealing with them. I want to be your commissioner again for 4 more years. If you will see fit to vote for me, I was not going to run because of my hearing. Melissa knows that. I have to get on commissioners all the time. But Dr. Haney, Dr. Galbraith told me, Tommy, don't worry about hearing. You know how to vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Morgan.
My name is Bobby James Morgan. I lived in this community over last 30 years. I used to work at a plant, and I took the inventory control over. When I took it over, it was $1.2 million in inventory. When I left, it was $250,000. That saved the company $1 million. And I think that with all my experience, I used to work at Captain D's. I was the manager there for 2 years. There's another plant I worked, overseed having all the trailers repaired. I had 5 people under me. I had to give them the road test, driver's test, and issue the license to them. So I think I'm very well qualified to be your next commissioner. And I thank you for your vote.
Thanks, sir. Ms. Jones, Gail Jones.
My name is Gail Jones. I'm an incumbent running again to represent District 5. I am happy for you to know that I am a Republican. You will see an R next to my name on the ballot. I have been a Republican since I repented for voting for Jimmy Carter around 1978. My husband is George Jones. We've been married 47 years. He does not need a rocking chair. We have 2 wonderful children, a wonderful son-in-law and a wonderful daughter-in-law. We have 3 grand boys. We all live in Giles County. We all have skin in the game. I first served on the commission in the mid-1990s. Coming onto the commission at that time, I was faced with the decision whether or not to support the countywide trash hauling endeavors. The scuttlebutt at that time from the ones that had been on the commission was that it was mandated by the state. It was not. The TCA code had not been interpreted correctly. And after a bit of a fight, finally we decided to trash that idea. And the county stayed out of the trash hauling business, and the private haulers were allowed to continue to work as independent businessmen, and I see they're still in business today. So the lesson of this story is don't believe everything a politician tells you. Trust but verify. And I have more later.
Brad Butler.
My name is Brad Butler. I'm an incumbent 5th District Commissioner, and I'm running for re-election as a Republican. Been a Giles County resident my entire life. My family's been here for over 150 years. We've owned businesses here most of that time. I married Samantha Taylor. She's also a lifelong Giles County resident, and we have 3 children, 2 of which are still in school at Richland. One of them graduated in 2020. I've enjoyed my time on the commission, and I'm here to ask for your vote to put me back on the commission again. Hopefully you will agree with what I have to say, and you'll push that button for me. Thank you.
Lois Emmett.
I am Lois Emmett. I'm a widow. My husband was in the Navy just shortly after we married. We moved to Norfolk, Virginia, lived there for a short period of time. At that time, I worked 3 jobs to help raise my family. I looked for a good babysitter because my child was 2 years old at that particular time. And so I had to figure out how to balance my work life with my family life, and I think I did that. I came back to Giles County and have lived here for quite a few years, and I have my daughter was a veterinarian. I'm sure many of the people in the audience knew Dr. Angela Emmett Tucker. My son is a sports recruiter, so both of my children entered into what I would call community service. I also have entered into community service, and throughout this particular speaking, I'll tell you about a lot of the things that I'm involved in, but I'm probably one of the most qualified people for this particular position. I have a degree from Vanderbilt. It's an executive management position. I managed an organization in the Army that was a $400 million organization, had 100 employees. Right now, I'm also chairman of the senior center here in the town, and I now run a small business. Thank you.
Thank you, Lois. Katie Whitfield.
Hi, I'm Katie Whitfield. I have lived here in Giles County for about 8 years. 10 years ago, my husband and I, pregnant with our first child, were on a road trip through Tennessee, saw how beautiful it was here, and when my baby was a year old, we moved here. When we did, the realtors laughed at us and said, "Why are you moving to this retirement community?" And we were like, "Oh, I don't know, are we?" But that's not what I see here. What I see is a young, vibrant community that is growing with families who want the best for their children. And that's why I'm running. It's for the people of the county. I'm mother of 3 children now, and I looked at the county commission and realized there were no mothers on the commission with children in the school system, and I think that we deserve a voice. I think we have a very powerful voice and a lot to offer, and so that's why I'm running. I haven't even talked about myself, but I'm qualified in lots of ways. I've done a lot for the community in terms of creating events, opportunities for children, and I will be happy to talk about all of that later.
Thank you.
All right, first question tonight. Where would you most like to see progress for Giles County in the next 4 years, and what will it take to make it happen?
Start with Mr. Rubelski.
Okay. I think ultimately what we need to do is we need to think of a long-term plan, come up with, 5, 10, 15 years out. And everything I'm saying that we might already have those things done. I'm sure we have. But ultimately, we've got to find growth. When we look at the schools, we're talking about taxing. I think ultimately we're taxed enough. If you were to tally everything on the tax, ultimately it's about 29.2%, almost 30% of our money goes towards taxes. So I'm against taxes. We've got to find different ideas, like Tom was even talking about. We've got to make it attractive to bring businesses in here. So I am for growth. We've got to find businesses in here, the right kind of businesses, industry business. Yes, we can bring in retail and other things like that. But ultimately, what we need to do is we need to grow. And we need to get money. So if you've got a home, there's only a few ways for you to get money. You're either going to have to find another job, or you're making more money, you're going to have to either do two jobs, or you come in and you're trying to get increases. But ultimately, I think the way that we can grow and the focus needs to be is we need to attract businesses in here. And that'll help us where we don't have to raise taxes. We can use those tax dollars from those businesses to help us get to the funding of where we need to be.
Thank you, Mr. Pollard.
Yes, yeah, we need revenue in the county. And one place, if it could happen, which is not very likely, I-65, Highway 64, that is the busiest two roads in our county. And if you could get something done there, you get a lot of revenue. But we have tried and tried. I went to school with some of these heirs. You can't get along with them. And so we've tried to do that. That would be good. Bill, you know what I'm talking about. But that is a busy, busy place. If you had stuff out there, how do you get it? I have no idea, because you can't get the land. So that's the problem there. But factories in here, yes, we need to have factories, and we need to do that because the plain and simple, what I've heard about on education here, and I have heard this already, when school starts back, we're going to be short school teachers because they can go right across this county line if they're 4 or 5 miles from it and make $7,500 more a year. I brought this up in a budget committee, and I know, it costs money, but they said, would you raise property taxes to give teachers a raise? No, I will not raise taxes. With everything that's going on right now, gas, food, and everything, you cannot do that to people. You just cannot do it. They're struggling. If you're on a fixed income, you're just about struggling. You cannot put more burden on these people. So we've got to figure out some way to do something. How? It's going to take a lot of planning. Thank you.
Mr. Morgan.
I think Tommy hit the nail on the head about 64. You got exit 14. We might not be able to get it developed, but I like to see retail shops all the way from exit 14 all the way to Walmart. One way we can get it done, let's get a sewer line going out that way. You see a lot of business coming after that. At the same time, I think schools are one of our number one priorities. Teachers pay, curriculum, better schools. You get industry in, how you get industry in? They want incentives, they want new houses. What else they want? Schools. Schools is one of the main topics to get people to come in here. Thank you.
Ms. Jones.
Okay, progress for Giles County. How do you define progress? Is it only about money? I'd like to see communities restored. We have communities that have been going downhill for a long time. You think about in the 5th district, we have Beach Hill and Bunker Hill, and then also other communities throughout the county. You have Frank Ewing, Campbellsville. Once upon a time, they were thriving communities. They had homes, they had schools, they had churches, and they had businesses. One thing that has been done in the last 4 years since I've been on the commission, we have been able to defeat the 2003 noxious zoning plan. That zoning plan, in case you don't know, was had put everything outside of municipality, the existing municipalities, into a zone called FAR. That's Forestry, Agricultural, Residential. No businesses. And the zoning lawyer that came down here and talked to the commission and others that are on the zoning board told us we needed to tell all the businesses that had opened up since 2003, tell them if they're in the county, tell them to close down. Really? What's that going to do for economic progress? So the other question is, the question is, how do we get to building up our communities, which I think would bring in a lot of economic progress. I think eventually we'll see schools and we'll see churches open back up there. We'll see communities forming, and they won't just be retirement communities. They'll be thriving businesses. I think we're going to have a strategic plan. We don't have a strategic plan. We had a PowerPoint. We had 2 meetings that we called brainstorming, and what we decided was what we already knew. Our school buildings needed to be updated, modernized, and made more livable for the students and the teachers.
Thank you. Mr. Butler?
Repeat the question, please.
Where would you most like to see progress for Giles County in the next 4 years, and what will it take to make it happen?
Where would I like to most see progress in the county? Well, I want to see our school buildings fixed. We've started that project. We've got it going. I want to see that come to completion. Whether or not we can do it in 4 years, I don't know. It's a lot of work needs to be done. 4 years ago, when I got on the commission, I wanted to have a sports park in the county. We thought we were going to have that done out at exit 14. Landowners wouldn't cooperate, so it got knocked off the drawing board. But I would still like to see that. You put one of those in, things are going to grow up around it. I've done the numbers on it. I mean, it's the millions of dollars that would come in from sales tax with everybody that travels. I'm a crazy travel ball parent. I'm leaving in the morning at about 7 o'clock to head to Hartsville, Alabama for a softball tournament. They're going to get tax dollars down there. We need that here. So in the next 4 years, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see our schools get fixed up the way they need to be fixed up. I like what Gail said about the communities. Beach Hill had a school. It was a community. We took that school away in the late 70s. It's not a community anymore. You look at Bodenham, it's gone. Same thing. We took the school away. So there was talk about building a new high school. I think maybe we need to, but I think maybe we need to look at where to put it, and that's not in Pulaski. We need to go south. That's where the growth is coming. We need to be looking to Ardmore. We need to be looking to Elkton, to Prospect in that area, because they're going to come get us. I worked in Athens when Madison started taking Athens. I saw Huntsville take Madison. I witnessed Spring Hill get swallowed up by Franklin and Columbia. It's going to happen here, so we need to be ready for it, and I think that's one way we can by preparing the south end of the county for what's coming.
Thank you. Ms. Amy?
A lot of people over these 3 nights have talked about growth and about bringing new industry in and that sort of thing. I'm going to talk about something different. I'm going to say that I want to keep my Giles County students here in Giles County. And according to doing that, I'm on what's called the Workforce Development Committee here in Giles County. And what we do is we try to put together information for the Giles County students. And we just recently had what we call our Career Expo. We had all 8th grade kids, all 11th and 12th grade students come out to the Ag Park, and we showed them a lot of the jobs that are available here in Giles County so that they could decide if they were in the 8th grade, what's their career path going to be and what kind of studies do they need to do. And then we helped the 11th and the 12th grade students actually talk to some of the companies here in town. I want to keep those kids here in Giles County. I don't want them going to Columbia. I don't want them going to Huntsville. I don't want them going other places. I worked in Huntsville most of my career, and it was a great career. I really, truly enjoyed it. But I went there because I couldn't find a job here in Giles County that would pay me a decent salary. So what I want to do, I want to keep those kids here in Giles County. I want to make sure they know what's available to them. I want them to know ahead of time what kind of classes do they need to take. If we're going to bring all this industry in, we better have a workforce to take their places. Thank you.
Ms. Ammett, would you, as a commissioner, support scholarshiping high school students for EMS and paramedic classes with the promise of a job on graduation?
Well, that's a no-brainer. Certainly I would. And there's also quite a few internships that are available. And that's some of the things we need to educate our companies on, because there's a lot of money out there that will pay the companies to actually take some interns into their organizations, into their companies. But yes, any way we can keep some of those people here or encourage others, whether they are students or whatever, to come in and support support our county, I definitely would be for that.
Thank you, Lois. Katie?
So over the last month or so since these debates were announced, I made a point to reach out to all the stakeholders in the county that I could think of, that I could get a hold of, who have experience and expertise in what's been done in the past, to know where I might say we should progress in the future. And everybody has their own preferences and their pet projects, but the bottom line is it comes down to access. So that means access to quality education and quality teachers, meeting students where they're at so that they can succeed to the best of their abilities, no matter where on that ability spectrum they lie. Access to the right jobs, not just a job, but the right job for the right person. There is a whole untapped workforce out there that I don't think anybody's addressed. Working mothers, they can't work a factory job. They can't work a third shift if they're a single mom. So they need a job that works with school schedules, that's flexible, and that pays a living wage. And there aren't a lot of those in this county. We need access to retail, dining, fine arts, entertainment, healthcare, all of those things that the bigger, more wealthy cities have and counties have. I'm tired of driving out of this county to spend my money. And I'm the one that spends my family's money. After the bills are paid, after the rent, mortgage and the utilities, there's groceries, there's clothes, there's all those other things. My money goes elsewhere. And I think we could do a lot to attract businesses to our county that provide competition and sales, grocery sales and things like that, that really can stimulate the economy here, raise that tax base. Access to affordable housing so that, families can succeed. And then other things like internet, countywide internet we've talked about a lot tonight. Our children should be getting STEM education and technology education to be competitive in the country, in the globe today, and that requires internet. Access to first responders coming quickly, access to food. We haven't talked anything hardly about that. Animal control, domestic violence support, and drug and alcohol rehab, the sheriff candidates talked a bit about. But access to all of those things are things that we as Giles County residents should have. We deserve nice things too.
All right. Yes.
Could I respond to Mr. Keith's question?
Anybody that wants to can go ahead and respond to that.
Okay, you talk about paramedics, EMTs, and deputies, policemen, and things like that, scholarships. Okay, yeah, I agree. Because that field right there is one that we have to discuss all the time in the county. Nobody wants to stay in these positions because of the demand that they have put on them, especially during this coronavirus with dealing with people. And it's hard to keep these people here. So I'm for trying to help all I can, okay? And teachers, let me tell you something. And I know Shelley's a teacher. Some more teachers here. They're not just teachers, they're babysitters. They're nurses, they're advisors. They try to help these children at school. They do everything. So if you do not have good teachers, a building does not teach students. The teachers do. We got to figure out something here somehow, some way to keep teachers and our paramedics and deputies here.
Let's just go ahead and ask Mr. Rebelski. We'll just start with you and get everybody else in on that follow-up question, just to be fair. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think
1 minute, please.
I think ultimately when you look at it, retention overall for any business is a big concern. Because you can look across really all of America right now, and every business, they're having a hard time of holding on to their people. And I think those are things that you got to look at. I think for the teachers, and really any public office into those things, we need to kind of shout out what's important, kind of talk about the retirement, talk about the pensions, talk about the holidays, bring in the positive things into those aspects there for these state and county positions here. And we talk a lot about the bad, let's talk about the good. And then we can look at things of, hopefully as when we bring good business in here and we're able to get those tax dollars up, or then we can give more money to attract. Ultimately, it's been mentioned, school is extremely important, and that's what's attracting. We've got, down south and above us, we got two of the biggest counties right there. And we need to be asking them questions of what they've done because they're doing something right, and we need to do those same things here.
Mr. Morgan, do you remember the question? If you're willing to, I'll let Ricky restate it.
I'll restate it. As a commissioner, would you support, as a county commission, scholarshiping high school students for EMS or paramedic classes, and we could expand that to police academies and so forth, on the promise that they would have a job on graduation back in the county?
Yeah, I think that's a very good program. It may need to be expanded, but yes, it's a good program for the kids, for everybody. It goes all over the nation. Yes, we need to get that done. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jones?
Well, I'd like to repeat what Lois said. Why wouldn't I? But you know, it's not just pay that is the problem. I'm going to touch on teachers' pay or teachers' retention. Is it only about pay? Because some teachers just quit. And you think about the reasons, other than retirement, of course, working conditions, heavy-handedness by the federal government and what they require, the paperwork they're required to do, testing, and they're pushed to teach things maybe they don't want to. I don't know how much time I have.
Okay, Mr. Butler?
Yes, I think doing a scholarship for the training is a good idea, as long as we make sure that they stay with us a long enough amount of time that we get that money back. We got to pay for it. You know,
Exactly.
whether Roy can get the money to pay for it, I don't know. I mean, we're constantly asking for money. You know, everybody complains about people wanting to raise taxes. Well, they don't want to raise taxes, but they want more services. Well, where are you going to get the money? You've got to get it somewhere. And if Roy can find a place in the budget that he can pay for their schooling and let them work it out with him when they get done, I'm all for that, because at least that way maybe we can keep them around for 2, 3, 4 years.
Lois already answered that, so Katie?
I think it's a great idea in theory. There's a lot of careers that you can get into with assistance and help like that. The CT program at the high school is doing a great job of certifying kids straight out of high school to go into careers, whether it's Adobe Illustrator or other more technical fields. Helping the ambulance service would be great. I know that I was at that meeting where they were talking about how they were having a hard time finding staff. There's even a program through the state for teachers, Grow Your Own, where educational assistants in the classroom can earn their teaching degrees while they work for free. I asked Dr. Beard about this. Why aren't we having this here? Because we're right in a college town, and she said, we don't have someone to administrate the program. And so it's kind of a chicken egg thing. If you don't have the support to run these programs, they're not going to function. So it takes some planning.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Success comes in cans. Failure comes in cans. We have two options for increased revenue: raise taxes or increase the tax base. So I'm going back to our interstate. We have a stream through Giles County. We know what the problems are, but what are some creative ideas for tapping into the revenue from I-65 exits?
Start with Mr. Pollard, please.
Okay, I understand the revenue we have got to have. How you can tap into this, I do not know without being able to develop these interstate exits and on-ramps. I don't know how you could do it out there to get that. I know you have exit 1, you have some things down there, maybe some land there that you could do something with. Exit 6, yes, you could do a little there, but all these have gas stations and hotels right now. So what more can you put there? I don't know the answer to that. But like restaurants or small restaurants or Cracker Barrel, yeah, that would be nice to get it. But to get this stuff cost you money to get them to come here too, which you're going to get money in return. But how you can do that is the problem. Getting the land and giving the tax breaks for people to come here, which is worth it for the revenue. So we got to tap into that somehow. And like I say, exit 14, 64, and I-65, that's the busiest intersection in this state, in this county right here. If we could do something there, we'd get some revenue. But how to get more from these exits and on ramps, I don't know how we could do it. But I wish we could.
Mr. Morgan?
Well, Tommy's hit on some good points there. But one thing about it, like at exit 14, we're going to have an infrastructure there. We're going to have lights, water, power. And I think we ought to go ahead and start doing that. And you say, well, we got the hours to work at. Well, okay. We get the spokesperson, get some good lawyers. If it was tangled up, we can untangle it. It may take a while. As one man said, we're going to the moon. Decade later, we win. Can't do anything, but can. We got to have positive. We got to have a positive mental attitude on this. We can get it done. There's nothing we can't do in this county. If we set our minds to it and say, we're going to find a way to make it happen. It'll happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Let's try something different. Let's put some new faces out there to represent the county. Let's put Thomas Dennison on the Economic Development Board. That's it.
Mr. Butler?
Revenue off I-65. Well, exit 1 is kind of landlocked. You can't do much down there. But it does have Ardmore, and if nobody's noticed, Ardmore's growing. There's stuff coming in down there. Exit 6, I believe it was deemed the best exit for developing industry. I know we've got a medical office that's come in down there. I haven't heard anything for sure, but I believe the truck stop is going to undergo an expansion down there. We've got Corner Pit and Wiseant over at Bryson, just right down the road. There's some areas there if we can get the land. And retail is going to develop organically. We can't make them come, but if the numbers are there and if somebody spurs it, like the truck stop down there, if they do expand and they do make it nicer, that's going to make that land more attractive for other stuff to come in. Exit 14, we've been through this and through this and through this. There's too many problems out there. It's the best exit we've got by far with 65 and 64, but people don't want to give up the land. We've tried to go off the highway and get land off the highway. That didn't work either. They didn't want to give it up. There was just too many things. But I do think we need to keep an eye on it. And again, if the businesses want to come, they're going to make it happen. If Pilot wants to come in there and locate, they're going to make it happen. They're going to find those people and they're going to get them the money and they're going to get that land. Exit 22 is probably right now the most potential we've got. There's development on the Marshall County side. There's a big tract of land that's just opened up on the Giles County side. I'm guessing that it's going to be up for sale or they're going to try to sell it to developers. So I think it's coming, but again, it's got to develop on its own. We can't make it develop, but by having UT Southern here now, that's a draw for kids coming in. That's a draw for people coming to visit them. So the developers, the business people, the retailers, they're going to see what we've got going on and they're going to start coming in here.
Thank you, Ms. Hammond.
Like a good politician, I'm going to change that question around. I'm going to say there are other options rather than the two that were given to us. I'm going to say that as a county commissioner before, what I did is I put together a subcommittee that met at night so people from the county could come. I talked to every department head that works for the county. I asked them while I talked to them, are there any way that you can cut any of the cost within your organization? And we talked a lot about what those particular cuts could be. Then I ask them, what is your vision for your department? Where do you really see your department going? When the department heads come to the county commission, they usually come with a very specific request, a problem, a challenge. We very seldom get to hear where those department heads really see their department going. So I allow them to talk to me and talk to the members of my subcommittee about what they saw happening, what they thought they could do, where they thought they could cut costs. And then I documented that in a report that I put out that was available to all of the county. Now, I will say that when you hold the meetings at night, there seemed to be a difference of opinion about whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. A lot of people work different hours and aren't available to come at night. So you have that particular problem. So it's still worth trying. I still think that one of the main things that I think I'm a pretty smart person, but I know that I'm not smart enough to answer every question that comes up. So I am really interested in hearing what the county citizens want for their county. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Whitfield?
So can or can't, I like to ask how. How can we do these things? I sat through the county commission meetings for some budget meetings and things, and the word I heard most was no, nay. And people were coming asking for their departments, for their organizations, requesting resources from the county, and person after person was denied their requests. And there wasn't a lot of discussion about how can we make this happen? What do we need to do to allow for these resources to become available to the citizens of Giles County? And I think there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that I wasn't privy to, but I think that the communication between the departments and the commission, communication between the commission and the school board, all those things would make it so that solutions can be found, and it's not just a yes or no question. And whether or not that involves developing the highway exits, I'm not sure. I looked at the per capita spending in the counties north and south of us. If you look around us, we spend $10,000 per person in our county. North and south of us, more like $12,000 or $13,000, which means I'm going to those counties and spending my money. They're spending more in their counties than we are. Let's spend our money here. Let's develop this county internally so that we can support our interests and really develop internally to provide for our citizens.
Let us get through. I got one more person and then move on. Mr. Rebelski?
Yeah, I am a can-do person. Can't's not, in my vocabulary. And I'm not the smartest person out there. I mean, but we continue to talk about exit 1, 6, 14, and 22. I understand, we can't, nor do we want individuals to be forced to sell their land to do, to help develop, our county. I think some of the best questions out there are going to be from our people. So let's ask the people in our districts. Let's ask the people of Giles County. Let's get some ideas. And even more importantly than that, what we can do is you go up the street, Murray County. They've got the same thing. Their exits are far away. They're booming. They got tax revenue. They get everything going on. They're doing something right. Why don't we go talk to them, find out what they've done, learn from them, steal and take their ideas, and then put it in here to Giles County?
Okay. Gail had
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, in defense of the budget committee, we said a lot of yeses, but the no's were heard a lot in the charitables. In my opinion, charitables mostly should be given by individual donations, and that's why you heard a lot of no's at the end of the budget committee meeting.
all right. Next question, please.
For the past 3 nights, there's been a lot of talk about progress. There's been a lot of talk about education and things that we need to add and change, and a lot of talk about business development, infrastructure. There's also been talk that there's no budget surplus and no one wants a tax increase. So my question is this: where do you stand with using responsible debt as a tool for long-term development?
This will be for Mr. Morgan, and I would like to say that this is most likely going to be our last question. I'm sorry but there's just a lot of you guys, you know.
Fifth District's popular.
But I'm probably going, if we do it this way, I'll give you a little extra time at the end when you have your comments.
And it's cold in here too.
Would you repeat the question?
Yeah, Mr. Morgan, repeat the question, and Mr. Morgan will start.
Yes, with all of our progress that we all want and we all talk about, we do know that we do not have a budget surplus, nor do we want tax increases. So where do you stand with using responsible debt as a tool for long-term development?
Well, like I said before, I think we need to put a sewer line in out there at exit 14. Even if we don't get exit 14, that's fine. You go on past it. There's land on past it you can get. We can develop that land all the way to Walmart. We don't necessarily have to have it right on exit 14. You go on past, you go all over town, all over the United States. You find off interstates, you find buildings a mile on down the road. We don't necessarily have to have it right on exit 14. Go on down the road. That's my opinion.
Ms. Jones?
Well, I think there'll come a day when we may have to have some responsible debt. Lots of projects out there that we may have to take on. But I think if we could plan a little better, we actually had a strategic plan, it would help us to avoid unnecessary debt, and it would help us to put a timeline on when we're going to do what.
Mr. Butler?
It's inevitable. I mean, if we're going to grow, if we're going to build stuff, we're going to have debt. We can't do it debt-free. But you fund the debt with bonds, you pay it off. You know, it's not been that long ago that we were in debt. We did owe for stuff. We're proud to be debt-free, but we can't live like that forever, or we're going to keep in the situation of, well, we need to build a school, but we don't have the money. We need to build an ambulance department, but we don't have the money. We're going to have to take on debt sometime, and as long as it's done responsibly and we all come together on what it's for and we can agree to it as a commission, then I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but I do think we need to revisit our strategic plan for the future. It got interrupted last time with everything that went on with COVID and whatnot. I think we need to look at that again, and we really do need to decide where we're going to spend our money before we go back into debt.
Ms. Hammond?
You know, when I'm at home and I'm looking at my budget and I'm looking at my refrigerator and I'm thinking it's 20 years old, and I'm thinking, why didn't I put some money back to replace that refrigerator? And when I became a county commissioner the last time, I wondered why we had not put money back to support our school systems. And now I know that the county is trying to do some of that. They have put some money aside to actually try to think about repairing the school system. I do think it's something that we are a little bit lax in thinking about reserving money. But I also agree with Brad. I think there's a time to use your funds that you do have or take on some sort of responsible debt for some of the things that all of the county wants, not something that just I want or some of the other commissioners want. I think we need to be really responsible in how we choose what those things might be.
Thank you. Ms. Whitfield?
So I've looked over, I requested a copy of the budget. I don't know if anybody else has done so, but I wanted to be educated. I read it cover to cover, and I had some questions, and I got them answered by Beth Sumners and Maura Sumners and Melissa Green and Dr. Beard and all the people who know the budget in and out. And I think that it is pretty tight the way it is. I mean, it's a lean budget, and I think to do any big projects, there's not much to put back. And like you said, and it would require some sort of bond to do any major project like a school or things like that. So if that's the direction the county commission decides to go in, it would probably need to be funded through some sort of large influx of cash. However, I also think there's an opportunity for the county to monetize a lot of the services they have, to create streams of revenue within the county offices. It is a business, as someone pointed out earlier. I think it was maybe Melissa Green in her statements. And should be treated as such, and it could be revenue generating. So there's things like there's a contract for dead animal pickup that farmers get to use for free that the commission voted on, and I'm not sure why they're not charged for that service. The animal control, our animal control department right now is best in class in the state probably, with 2 deputies running it, sheriff's deputies. It could be monetized. It could become a hub. We are a hub, as we mentioned on 65 and 64 for the state. It could be monetized and become a revenue stream through the funds of private rescues and things like that. So there's a lot of opportunities like that for healthcare, bringing those revenue streams in, and not just going into debt. Let's increase revenue before we put ourselves in debt.
Thank you. Mr. Rebelski?
Yeah, I think debt is never a good thing. I think debt-free ultimately is the way to go. I think having and making sure that we have either a safe fund or a security fund is extremely important. We may not be in that situation now, but we've got to have a vision. We've got to have a plan. And I think if we can, bring new people into office, we can bring some new ideas and have some fresh thoughts that can come about. If you look at overall, if you look at a debt, there's no good debt, but if you're going to come in and you got to get a house, hey, live within your means into that. So if we're talking about we get strapped, we're getting in a situation, we got to do something, then you live within your means. Doesn't mean you may not be in a $300,000 house. Maybe it's a $100,000 house. Maybe instead of buying a new car, we're in the 5. And I'm saying those things in the sense of that's how we would spend the money, how I would spend the money, within our county, And in a payment, you try to come up with a plan and not a 30-year plan, but maybe it's a 15 and you're like, you can see that vision. Hey, we can get out of this. This is where we're going to be ultimately, but it comes with a plan and a vision ultimately.
Thank you. Mr. Potter?
Okay, I brought it up a few years ago that when we first started talking about building a new school, we need to put back some money. If we can put back $1 million a year on a new school, then eventually we could get one. But the price went out the roof. You can't, I think it started out at about $60,000. I mean, $60 million. Now it's $100 million. And I have no problem with the county borrowing a little money that is desperately needed. I got no problem with that. But right now is not the time to try to borrow that much money. The county cannot absorb that. And if you did that, and then you had an emergency somewhere else and you had to borrow more money, you're borrowed out. But, when you talk about exit 14 and everything, the water supply out there, Harper Shop said they would not put lines out there to do it. That was another problem. Well, electric, that's federal part of it. They will not do it. So see, our hands are tied. But you need to keep in mind, I learned this a long time ago. The wheels of progress turn very, very slow. You may think they've stopped sometime, but they still turn. So don't give up. Just keep on hoping.
Let's say we started with you on that, didn't we, Mr. Moore? You guys did such a good job answering that question in a timely manner. We are going to get to another one. So I caught Ricky off guard.
No, that's fine. This one's going to be very subjective. This will be a fun one. How would you sell Giles County to an outsider? What are our assets?
Ms. Jones, you'll be first.
Okay. Giles County is the land of milk and honey, and it is blessed by God, and the people, as far as I know, are the best in the world. But it is a beautiful county. You have such beautiful landscapes, and I just think I'd say come visit. You'll want to stay.
Thank you. Mr. Butler?
I do this quite frequently. when I'm talking to people, I tell them, my wife and I could live anywhere we wanted to. We choose to live right here. We love Giles County. It's a great place. There's great people here. Beautiful countryside. I mean, we've got every season known to man, all 4,000 of them. I mean, it's a great place with great people, great local establishments. There's nowhere else that I would want to live. So that's what I tell people that are looking to move in here when they want to come buy a house. That's what I tell people when I'm out dealing with them on my routes. It's just the best people, the best place, the best land. We've got it all, everything.
Thank you. Ms. Amick?
In my job with the federal government, I traveled a lot, went to lots of states across the United States. But I bet I'm just like each of you or any new person coming into the county. The minute I got back to Giles County, I said, I'm home. This is the best place I want to be. And I think anybody that moves here will be the same way about that. I live on a farm that overlooks the town of Giles County. So I look out every night in my bedroom and I see all the lights of Pulaski. And it's an amazing sight. And I can tell anybody that Giles County is one of the most beautiful states in the country.
Ms. Whitfield?
Well, I like to tell people that I live where people go to vacation and get away from it all. So how could you not want to live here? It's, I look out my kitchen sink if I'm doing dishes. I got a pond in my backyard. There was a blue heron out there this morning. It's green year-round, a beautiful magnolia tree in the front yard. And I came here from Texas, and it's brown and flat and brown and dry. So we came here because it's beautiful. We came here because it's a small-town feel, a great place to raise a family, where you can have an impact on your community by getting involved in local politics or creating events and organizations, starting a small business, getting to know the people who live around you and forming those connections. I lived in New York City for many years, and I didn't know my neighbors. And I didn't, I had friends from college that went there with me, and they were my friends. But here I've, built a whole new life in the last 8 years, and now my family is being raised here, and it's the wonderful wonderful place to raise a family.
Thank you. Mr. Rebelski?
17 years ago, we moved to North Alabama. Within 2 years, my wife finally said, I know you've always had a dream and you always wanted to have a farm. And when you cross exit 1, you have entered into God's country. You're now into Tennessee. And so when we just began to look and find this area, Giles County is where I decided where I wanted to be. It's got the best people. When my family comes in, it's really quick. If I wanted to sell Giles County, I take them downtown. They can talk. They can meet the people. My family constantly, anybody visitor comes in, they say everybody is friendly. They're nice. They welcome you, and it's family. It's easy to sell.
Thank you. Mr. Pollard?
Okay, if you remember the last 4 elections that I ran, I always said, I make no hesitation, I love my county. I do. I mean, I love my country, and I love my county. If you have never been to another country, another state, especially another country, you really don't know what we have right here. That's what I would tell people. You really do not understand and know the family environment. Do we always agree? No. Do you always agree with your husband or your wife? No, you don't. I don't agree with mine. But that is part of, that's Tommy Pollard for you. But I'm telling you, we are close. It's kind of like I tell people when, well, it's like this. A veteran, a Marine or a veteran falls. All veterans that know that guy or know that person, they feel that. And so that is the way Giles County is, the way I want to keep it too. We're family, mostly. We don't agree. But we can disagree without being disagreeable. I love my county.
Thank you. Mr. Morgan?
Well, I've been here over 30 years. Somebody would have told me I'd been here the other day lived in Gault Town. I said, there's no way. But I'm here now, and I love this country. I love it. I've talked to people who moved in here, said the same thing. I didn't think I'd ever live in Pulaski, Tennessee, but I'm here now, and I love it. It grows on you. It grows on you. Thank you.
Did we start with you, Gail? We started with you. No, we didn't? Okay.
This is the end, right? End of the,
No, we haven't started the wrap.
oh, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
did we start with you on that?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So look, you guys are real good at being succinct. And so you have earned yourselves 2 minutes each to wrap up. And since we started everything on this end, we'll end everything and go this way.
It's waiting my turn to go first.
Katie Whitfield, if you don't mind, you have 2 minutes to wrap up your campaign.
If you didn't know, that's my boss. I write for the paper. If you recognize my name, I get asked a lot, where do I know you from? You might have seen my byline in the paper. You might know me because I started Touch a Truck here in Pulaski. I am the president of a 501c3, the Breastfeeding Support Group of Pulaski. So I may have helped you with your baby at some point. You may have attended Mama's Munchkins and Milk. Maybe my dog read with your child at the library when we did our therapy dog reading program over there. I've done a lot in the county on a grassroots level. I know how to make things happen without a big budget, or zero budget for that matter, like the Touch a Truck. And you may know my kids from sports. You may know me from just seeing me out and about. I have serious FOMO, if you know what that means, fear of missing out. If you're throwing an event, I'm probably there. And I think that boots on the ground attitude is what this county commission needs. People who are making change in the community, taking action where they see there's holes, things where there's needs, to fill those needs. And that's how I hope to grow my contributions. I felt called to serve in this role, and I think there's certain connections that can be made when you have a government position that you can't when you're just a layperson, and so I'm hoping to make those connections and really help people have their, like I mentioned, those pet projects, help people realize those needs, have them fulfilled. And like I said earlier, it's all about access. Let's give our families, our people living here, the opportunity to do everything that they can in any other county, because we are, like everyone just, it was like a cheerleading session up here for Giles County. It is a wonderful place, but I'm tired of leaving the county to go spend my money. So let me spend it here.
Lois Emmett.
Okay. As a county commissioner, I think I'm the only county commissioner that was elected to 2 state offices for county commissioners while I was a county commissioner. That's really unusual for Giles County. Why I'm telling you that is when you have 21 commissioners, it's really important to be able to communicate your ideas to what those other commissioners are. Part of my work is the federal government was, as I started as an analyst, so I'm really good at researching different challenges that we might have here in Giles County. That's one of my strengths. One of my strengths also is that I am involved in almost every activity that takes place in Giles County. I am into everything. I don't mind telling you all that. I go to every event that the library puts on. I'm part of 2 committees that are in the Economic Development Council. I take all of the notes for the county commissioners. So if you want to know what all's going on in the county, you can go to GilesCountyTennessee.com and look under commission and look under minutes, and I write every one of those. So I know what's going on in the county. I don't have to get up to speed because I'm there at every county meeting. I am part of a jail ministry that takes place here in Giles County. I haven't done quite as much since COVID, but I've taken all of the training, even for the latest things that Governor Lee's putting forth. So I'm for seniors, I'm for children in my workforce development, I'm for people that need second chances that are coming out of prison. I am for all those people that sometimes feel they don't have a voice in county government. And I request your vote. I promise you that I will be in touch with each of you as often as I can, and I humbly ask for your vote at this election. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Amick. Brad Butler?
Well, Lois is a hard act to follow with that. I've been a commissioner for almost 4 years now. I decided to run 4 years ago because I was upset about what was going on with the school board and the whole new school thing. I think every time I saw Tommy, I'd bend his ear about it. He got to where he'd go the other direction when he saw me because he didn't want to talk about it anymore. I've learned a lot about how county government works in my 4 years on the commission. It's not at all how I thought, and I hear people talk about the county government, and I'm like, man, just, sit here with us for a little while. It's not, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. We have to actually get serious about some stuff. And I've been involved in this county for as long as I can remember. I mean, my dad was commissioner, I believe. He was always involved in politics. I guess I learned from him. I've been in business here myself since 2001 on my own business. Before that, my family had owned businesses. I'm involved in the county. My family is a member at St. Andrew's United Methodist Church. I'm the chairman of the trustees there, and we also sit on the admin council. We're at everything that goes on. I've been an ex officio member of the Chamber of Commerce and Tourism. So we're at just about every event we have. I'd humbly like to ask you to bring me back again for another 4 years. I am the incumbent, and I am running as a Republican for re-election, and if you would see fit to vote for me, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Butler. Ms. Jones?
I want to mention just a few things that I worked on over the last 4 years. I worked really hard to dump the lump, the land use management plan, and that was definitely the highlight of the last 4 years. I've also worked toward transparency. It is an ongoing issue. Some success has been made, but more needs to be done. Allowing input from the citizens at full commission meetings. It is now a part of our commission rules. Any citizen may speak at a meeting as long as it pertains to the agenda, but it is only good for 1 year because some commissioners just don't trust the people. But hopefully, if I'm elected, we can work on getting that expanded, take that limitation off. Also, I've supported a resolution supporting the Second Amendment and a resolution urging the governor not to send refugees into Giles County. So now I will close. Oh, okay. All across America, Christians are taking seriously Isaiah 61. Arise, shine, for thy light is come. Christians are waking up. Many have been awake for a long time, but the ranks of the awake Christians are swelling. And it's happening here in Giles County. Christians, conservatives, Republicans have stepped up and said, "Send me, Lord." I'm one of those. The people of Giles County are calling for representation, transparency, and accountability. They want representatives that respect and acknowledge the Bible, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights. The people of Giles County want representatives that they can trust to protect and uphold their values, God, family, and country. To the 5th District, I ask for your vote, and I promise to continue to work to make Giles County the land of milk and honey again.
Thank you very much. Mr. Morgan?
Let me say this. When I grew up, my mother had a sign up on the wall. You know what it said? That can't do anything, but can. I don't have a college education, but I got a PMA. You know what a PMA is? Positive mental attitude. Anytime you have a problem, you need to have a positive mental attitude. You're not going to get it solved with negative. It's like age at 14. We may get it done one day, but you gotta look at the problem and say, we're gonna find a way to make it happen. You gotta have a positive mental attitude about anything you wanna do. And that's my platform right there. And I hope you vote for me August the 4th. I don't wanna be a voice for the citizen. I wanna be a real voice for the citizens. Thank you.
Mr. Pollard?
Yes, sir, thank you. I have been commissioner, like I said, 16 years, 5th district. I loved every bit of it. Like I said, you lose some battles, but you haven't lost the war. But I love my job. Okay, you say, I'm conservative. No, I'm not. I am an extreme conservative. The county commission knows they can't hardly get money out of me on my vote. And that's the way it is. If you need it, yes, I can do it, but if it's just what you want, that's different. But I tell anybody, I serve the people in my district the way I would want my commissioner to serve and represent me. That's what I go by. And I go by, well, Marine Corps motto, only go as fast as your slowest man, which some of y'all won't understand what that means. It means if you're in a battle, don't run off and leave your slow runner because he's going to be by himself. It does not mean make everybody as poor as the poorest. It does not mean that, but try to help these less fortunate people too along the way. That's exactly what that means, and that's what I try to do. I look at that like I look at my county, and I say it again, I love my county. God bless the USA, and God bless you. I want your vote.
Thank you. Mr. Rubelski?
Well, one thing that I've learned is life is short. And so the longer the good Lord allows me to live upon this earth, I realize, one, how precious it is and how short it is. And, that's one of the reasons I want to run. I want to run to give back to this county, to Giles County. I've got a conservative voice. And one thing that I found out, there's a lot of like-minded people that believe in God, that believe in a conservative government of where we need to be, that believe in the Bible. When you look at Genesis 1:27, that we're created in God's image, and He created male and female. Our media tries to say and push us into a lot of different directions, but I think when you actually get out and you talk to people, there's a lot of commonality out there. And, they seem like they want to say that it's moving into one direction or this is a dying breed here. But I am a conservative. I've got characters. I've got morals, and I'm vested here. This is home for me. And I ask for your vote as your county commissioner for District 5. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys. Great job, guys. And